In just under a month, the only drop for this year, for 2024, for my brand, Divine Media, is going to go live. I haven't released any new products this year, so I wanted to do one big, giant drop at the end of the year on December 16th. So be sure to set a reminder. If you guys actually click the link in my description for my website, you guys can create an account. You can set up your email with the website as well so that you can stay up to date with postings. I'm gonna be sending out emails leading up to the drop. 10 new items, stuff I've never done before, and I figured I'd show you one of them now, just to kind of get a little sneak peek for what's to come. I've wanted to make these for a while. You guys know we had to do Nabori flags this time, so perfect item to hang in your garage. Like I said, this is just one of 10 all new items that'll be added to the site on December 16th. I have a feeling they're gonna sell out really fast, so be sure to set a reminder. Your guys' support means the world to me, to my channel, to my business, to everything that I do. And without you guys, I would not be who I am today. So thank you guys so very much, and I hope you enjoy the video. The time has finally come. I got everything I need. I got a free weekend. By the time this video is over, this car's gonna look a little bit different. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we get to do something I've been waiting to do for a while. I bought my Ferrari 360 back in March, April-ish of this year, and ever since buying it, I really haven't done a whole lot to it. I've just been driving it and enjoying it, but at the same time, I've also been stocking up on some parts on the side that I was waiting for the perfect moment to be able to install. That perfect moment is this weekend, and I'm very excited to dive in when we get to do air suspension on my Ferrari 360. So a lot of you are probably thinking, Mike, why the heck are you gonna put air suspension on a Ferrari? First of all, number one, this one's just a little tiny one. It's my car, I'm gonna do what I want with it. You guys have seen all my other cars, they all run airlift, air suspension. No secret anymore, no stranger. But number two is air suspension has become extremely reliable over the past decade. My Toyota Century, which you guys have seen in my videos a ton, has been running airlift performance suspension ever since I got it, and I've put a good 40,000 miles on that car in the past 2 years without a single hiccup. No broken lines, no leaky fittings, no weird management stuff. Everything has been flawless. I drive that car every single day. My NSX, which you guys know, is also on airlift management with universal air. Struts, that car feels amazing. I've never had a hiccup with that car. And now we get to do the same thing with the 360. However, I had reached out to Airlift as well as Bag Riders for this car so that we can get it dialed. So let me show you what I got. My friends over at Airlift Performance as well as Bag Riders sent out the best of the best for the 360. Now I had reached out to Bag Riders for some struts, some air struts, and they were already in development for a super low kit for the Ferrari 360. So they kind of sped up production a little bit so that they could get me a kit. And well, they did. This is the first ever kit for a 360 going on a 360. I'm gonna be installing the struts, letting you guys know how I think they feel, the overall installation process, everything like that, as well as with the Airlift 3P management. Here's your computer, runs everything. Here's your controller, nice little packaging there. And Airlift sends a really nice set of directions as well. Even though this is my 5th, 6th, 7th car that I've put air suspension on in this channel, doesn't hurt. I'll probably be looking at the directions. But Airlift and Bag Riders are both sponsors of this video, this whole Ferrari air suspension series that we got going on right now. So if you guys are interested in any air suspension products, I will leave Airlift Performance and Bag Riders at the very top of the description. They're both running Black Friday sales this month, so don't miss out on stuff. Hopefully by the end of this video, I can win you over on some struts and some management. But for now, we're gonna dive into the first steps that we have to do for this car. You guys might be looking at this strut saying, wow, this is really, really small. Bag Riders designed these to be an air strut that would let you ride low, not destroy your bearings and your seals and your air suspension, as well as retain that good driver comfort experience, everything like that. This whole entire video is gonna be a one big walkthrough to show you guys how to build an air suspension setup, install your struts, run your lines, your harnesses, things like that, and get your car dialed. Now, typically with the cars that I've done, they've all had air suspension setups in the back of the car, but with this thing, we're gonna be doing them in the front of the car, in the front. But first step to air suspension is getting your trunk setup done. I like to do that first because that way, if the car needs to drive and move, you can still do that. So we're gonna do the tank setup first, get all of this situated, and then we can work on the struts, the airlines, all that stuff. Now for this car, just like my NSX, I went with a flow tank from Airlift, which is an 18-inch tank, brushed finish, has fitting threads, all ready to go. Super nice setup, and I plan to maybe put it just like that, and then I'll mount the compressor just under it. I could also mount it directly to the bottom of the trunk, but we're gonna see. So let's take apart the trunk. That Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight was pretty sad. All right, I'm pretty confident that once I get under the car and I take the under shielding off, that there will be light showing through here, which means that I can use this to route things. The battery in the car is basically straight shot this way, so when it comes time to run power, I gotta find like a little grommet or something that I can sneak the wires through. Here's how I think we're gonna mount everything up in the front. This is the lower panel right here that goes in the very bottom of the front. I want to have the tank at the very, very back, and then I'd love to have both my compressors on both sides kind of going this way, and then right in the center I want to have the Airlift computer to run everything. Now, to be able to mount everything solid on this bottom piece without adding too much height to the very bottom of the floor, because you need everything to kind of bolt up still, I looked around and I was able to actually find this scrap piece of MDF that no one's been using. It's perfect. It's maybe about a 1/4 inch thick, and it's not going to add a crazy amount of height to the bottom floor of the trunk. So this will be mounted under this panel, and we can use this MDF to mount the tank, the compressors, the manifold, everything like that, so it's nice and sturdy. We got to get it cut to size, and then we should be good to go. Mount all this stuff, figure out how we're going to run everything, and kind of see a beginning setup of the trunk. Here's what the setup is looking like so far. I'm still going to have plenty of trunk space, so that's not really an issue, but dual compressors, I'll swap the plaque and flip that around so that it's facing the right direction, but the harness will shoot through the back, through the access panel that's like on the firewall there, get the tank mounted up. So now I need to cut the MDF so that it takes up basically the entire underside, and then we can poke some holes, mount everything up, and it should look pretty cool.
Okay, I put the camera down a while ago just to get all of this stuff hard mounted, all the holes drilled, everything like that, and then I can go over everything now that it's all been figured out and makes more sense. Also, Cam's here.
Hi, Cam.
Hello.
He's wearing an old Divine Media shirt today. That was like 2019, 2020. Oh, what was I thinking with that one?
Now we have a setup that works. I'm gonna run you through it. It's a little crude right now, but trust me, it's gonna look sick once it's in the car. 2 compressors right here, easy enough. Hard mount them, they're nice and symmetrical in the center. Go straight to the tank on both sides. Looking at the controller from the backside, these 4 here are for your 4 struts, and then these 2, this one is tank and this one is exhaust. So when you air out, all the air will shoot out of this one, which I have just loosely dangling under the setup here. So you have the 2 words? You have the 2 compressors that go into the tank, and then from there, the tank will distribute air to the manifold. That comes out of this line here and comes around to the water trap. Now, a lot of people like and don't like running this. I personally do. It gets very humid down here in Florida, and it's... Cam doesn't like running them.
Nope.
It's especially important to run them if you're up north, because if water and condensation get into your lines, into your system, you don't want that freezing. You can blow lines, you can blow the manifold. It's not good, and it can leave you stranded. So I like running the water trap. It'll collect all the water before it makes it to the manifold, which shoots down through the board here, under, and then out right to the computer. Like I said, the other 4 fittings are to each 4 struts. So essentially, the trunk setup is done right now. The manifold is loosely mounted right now just because I need to have some flexibility for when the lines come up through their holes, but that'll get hard mounted. Each compressor has a power and a ground that runs under the whole system. That'll just get plugged into the main harness, and then we're good to go. I guess it's time to start tearing the car apart.
Party.
Time to party?
Oh, it fits right there.
Right. All right, we got the trunk set up, the frunk set up, put into the car. Looks really good, nice and symmetrical. This wiring harness, the main harness right here, goes through this grommet, which conveniently pops out. Inside the car, there's this black, kind of like transmission tunnel. The grommet is basically right behind that, in there, and the battery's right next to it, so we'll be able to keep it tucked away and it can go straight to the battery, feed everything into the frunk, and we'll be good, I think.
This is better than the Century.
Yeah, it's not the Century, thank God.
Thank God.
You won't feel like doing those back seats again? I want to adjust those coils.
No, absolutely not. You're stuck with it how it is.
Damn it. We got all the wiring here. We're gonna run it through this grommet, and once it's all through and pulled through tight, we'll coil it up, organize it behind the dash, get everything ran to where it needs to be, connect both compressors, and then I think that we can start on the struts and the airlines for those right after this. So moving along, not too bad. All right, so we got all the harness stuff kind of loosely in there for now. We're gonna organize that and make that look a lot nicer, but right now we have the 2 compressor harnesses. So this is the compressor wire, comes off right here, and then this comes off the harness. Same thing on this side. So we just got to connect power and ground together to the harness. This is a little jumper connector that connects the second compressor to the rest of the system. Generally, airlift kits come with 1 compressor. You can opt for a second one, and they'll send a second harness with your setup. So in this case, I chose to run 2 just because we're doing 3/8 line with this setup, which airs the car up and down much quicker than 1/4 inch, which I have on the Century and the NSX. And we got a whole mess of wires to organize inside the car as well, but we're gonna deal with those later. I typically like to do these air setups in 2 days, 1 day for the whole tank, trunk, a setup, just making sure you figure everything out before you get too crazy. I think we're at a good stopping point. We got the trunk setup fully dialed. The wires are ran into the car. In terms of getting that set up, that should be really, really straightforward because it's just 2 wires to the battery and then 1 to the fuse box. So tomorrow we'll take the wheels off, we'll take the struts off, put in the new Bag Rider super low struts, run all the airlines, button the car back up, power it up, calibrate it, all that fun stuff, and we get to see a Ferrari on the floor. So it's gonna be very cool. I'm excited for it. Cam is
Cargo.
camming. We'll pick back up bright and early on this tomorrow. Good morning. It is day 2 of bagging the 360. When I came in this morning, I just kind of wanted to get all of the wiring stuff sorted. You can see the battery down in here. There's the 2 power and ground wires for the bag system for the compressors. I got to get those wired up to the battery. But off camera, I took the center console apart and the whole kind of tunnel in here and routed the trigger wire and the controller wire really nice and clean. So I was able to get the controller mounted on a magnet straight on the center console, so it is in the perfect location, I think, for this car. And then the last thing to set up is the trigger fuse, and that just kind of plugs into an accessory fuse in your car and jumps it so that it only sends power when you key on in the car. That's so that this whole system doesn't drain your battery and things like that. So I've located the fuse that I'm going to use. I went on Ferrari chat, looked at a couple forums, found a fuse that someone else has used for a radar detector, and it's this blue 15 amp fuse right there. I already have the trigger wire here. I just finished wiring in a little 3 amp fuse that comes with the kit, and then we put our little trigger on the end here, and that jumps into this 15 amp fuse, which will send power to the controller and the rest of the harness. So I'm going to get this hooked up, all the interior put back together, get the power and grounds hooked up to the battery, and then we'll be good to actually start working on the suspension side of everything from Bag Riders. Very excited to test out their super low kit. I've never ran one. This is the first super low kit for a Ferrari 360, so I get to do a little bit of testing for them and I'm pumped. So let's get this finished up. I actually wasn't. I was supposed to be. The camera wasn't recording.
I was gonna say, you're gonna see me smack my hat off the fucking...
We were taking a look at the struts for the first time, and they look really, really easy to swap out. I don't think we'll need to, like, do much else to get them out. They should just drop straight down.
Give me the angle grinder.
Yeah. But the bottom is connected to the end link, which is kind of similar to the NSX. So we'll just disconnect that end link, which will disconnect the bottom of the shock, drop that out. So yeah, we're gonna tackle, I think, the front left first, get everything figured out, and then the rest of the car should be a breeze.
Mucho bueno.
Mucho bueno.
Like, it looks super easy.
I mean, I get it. It was used as a race car platform, so everything should come off and go on super simple. Bingo bongo. got all 4 struts in. It went really easy, really well. Originally we had plumbed the leader lines right off of the bag, and they were hitting the control arm. And we were like, what the heck's going on with that? We can't route it above, we can't route it under the control arm. And then of course I go and check the bag that bag rider sent me, and they sent me a convenient little 90-degree fitting to go off of the bag to run the leader line. So all of that is plumbed very nicely straight down under the diffuser. Now it's time to run all of the airline. The front's gonna be cake. It's gonna use maybe 1.5 to 2 foot of airline. Not a problem there. The rear is gonna take a whole lot more, but it should be pretty simple. My NSX is kind of built the same way as this car, where it has a false kind of drive shaft tunnel underneath where all of the oil and coolant lines run to the front of the car for cooling. I'm gonna run the airlines along with this stuff, just like I did with my NSX. So both sides are gonna come out here, go under the diffuser, pop out here, go all the way down to the trunk setup. It should be pretty easy. I'm gonna disconnect a bunch of these 10 mils for the diffuser, that way it sits down a little bit, and then I can run a line through there and connect it, run it all the way to the front, and that's the last step. We powered on the trunk setup and the management. Everything works, everything's functioning, the controller turns on, so maybe another hour's worth of work and this thing will be ready. Down to the very last steps here, getting the lines hooked up to the entire trunk setup. We're on the last line. It's a little tight fit, but once that's plugged in, the whole trunk can get put back together, and we'll pressure test the system. Once we pressure test and everything's good, then we can put the wheels on, let this thing sit on its own weight, calibrate it, see what the height looks like. I think it's gonna be sick. Key on. We got power on the controller. That's beautiful. I love that sound. It's gonna fill up to a default 150 PSI. Should have enough power to be able to pull that off without starting the car. So, feel anything? Hear anything?
Nope.
Nothing?
Everything looks good. So
Sick. They're pretty quiet too.
they're really quiet.
I think it's probably because obviously each compressor has like a rubber damper, but underneath the setup is a foam insulator, and I think that's dampening a lot of the noise. It's pretty damn quiet. I just hit up and every single number is on the dot. Perfect. All right, we got some air in the bags now. Let's go check to see if any of the bags are leaking. Left rear seems to be good. Front seems to be good. All of the numbers on the controller are still showing the same, so I think we're good.
Put her on the ground.
Calibrate it.
Calibration. And drive it off into the sunset.
I like the idea of that. Okay, so now we are calibrating the system, which basically means it's going to run through different configurations and calibrate the entire setup so that every single adjustment that you make is perfect. You guys get to see that now, and eventually it'll drop all the way to the ground.
Dude, it's hydro jumping. Want to air it out?
Yeah.
Send her, bud.
No way. Oh my god. This thing dropped. Bro, look at it.
Dog. That's a small car. It's bad, but it's kind of hip height.
I'm only 3'8". This thing's low. God bless. All right. Oh my God. It's
insane.
like it's like it's on hydraulics.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
Like watching it calibrate, like the back end hop.
Right.
It's cool.
I think it's because the combination of 3/8 line and the super low struts. The super low struts. Freddie's testing his car. The super low struts only have one bellow bag on them instead of two, so you're putting 80 something PSI into one little bag. It's gonna shoot up really fast.
It's nuts.
But we're gonna pull this thing outside and get some more shots right before it gets dark.
Michael,
Donnie,
where's Slam?
we're on the floor.
We're on the floor. We got hella weird camera going on too. Looks good though.
Thanks. This
Nice
shit's
old
pretty.
Ferrari on bags.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
It's
360 on bags.
crazy to look at.
Yeah, it's
Nuts. All right, I am definitely happy with the turnout of this. Done in one weekend, nice trunk setup, the super low struts. From the little putting around I've done so far, they feel really, really good. Obviously, I'm going to drive the car a whole lot more to dial in all of the suspension and stuff like that. But I got a ride height set, looks pretty good, but it on the ground obviously looks even better. This is why I love coupes, especially low profile coupes when they're on air suspension. They just look like fighter jets. It looks so freaking cool. It brings out the like body lines of the car more. It makes you friggin' just kind of appreciate it more. And these taillights are fucking crazy. I love this car. Driving impressions. I've done about 5 miles so far. The car is at the exact same ride height that it was on stock suspension, and I can say wholeheartedly, without a doubt, and you know this might not be something that everyone wants, but the super low suspension from Bag Riders feels identical to the factory suspension that came on this car. This car drives just as good as I drove it into the shop on Saturday. Alignment is still great, ride quality is perfect, it feels awesome. Bag Riders, you guys killed it on these struts. Now we have made it to the end of the video. I have to give a huge, massive shout out to Airlift Performance and Bag Riders for sponsoring me yet again on another kit for another car. The 360 turned out beautiful. If you guys need any air suspension products, like I said, click the links in the description. Check out Airlift, check out Bag Riders from me. Take advantage of their Black Friday sales. We have a bagged Ferrari 360 now, right next to the NSX. And this is 100% a dream come true. Trunk setup turned out really nice. I'm really, really happy with it. I also want to give a shout out to my Massachusetts homies at Beast Coast, because every single time that I get a new car, without even asking, they send me down a custom cut Divine placard to put on the airlift management, and they sent me another one basically a month after I got the Ferrari, and they're just the best.
Jake, Matt, Jason, if you guys are watching, I appreciate you. And I hope everything's going well up there.
But yeah, trunk setup came out really, really nice, really clean, easy to service, all that good stuff. It's nice and quiet.
No leaks. Once again, airlift just knocks it out of the park. This video is a wrap, and I am very, very happy. This weekend, I'm gonna give both the cars a nice, good wash, catch up on some things, and then we're gonna start diving into some Del Sol content.
Because I know you guys have wanted Del Sol content for a while, and I'm just sick of putting it off. So look at that sign. I love that sign. I need to come up with a better way to hang my wires.
Catching up on stuff. I've got to say, my favorite angle of the car is the back end right now
With the tail lights.
with the car dropped on the ground. I fucking love it. Thank you guys so much for watching another video. Thank you, airlift and bag riders. And this is just the beginning for the 360. So stick around. Car's gonna get pretty crazy. Thank you guys. Have a good night.